The USGA says the distance rollback is about protecting golf. That is not wrong. It is protecting the investment of the 150 golf course architects whose designs were becoming obsolete. Your job in this equation is to fund that protection, not with your opinion, with your wallet. The ball you are playing right now is going to be illegal. The replacement will cost more. And the tour professionals, the ones the USGA says hit it too far, they have an exemption until 2030. You do not. Here is what they did not put in the press release. In January 2023, the USGA and the R&A announced the model local rule for golf ball rollback. The official language was careful and measured. They talked about the long-term health of the game. They talked about course architecture. They talked about sustainability. They did not talk about price. They did not talk about who, specifically, was going to absorb the cost of replacing equipment already sitting in your garage. By the end of this video, you will know exactly who designed this regulation, who it actually protects, and what it is mathematically going to cost you. Not the tour pro, not the equipment company. You. The recreational golfer who was never consulted and who will be handed the bill anyway. Let us start from the beginning. For most of golf's history, the game had an unspoken rule. You build a course. The course is the test. Players figure out how to beat it. Augusta National was designed in 1933. Amen Corner was a specific strategic trap. The par 3 12th was a psychological weapon. The course was the point. Then, starting in the late 1990s, players started breaking the course. Tiger Woods drove Augusta's par 5 second green in 2 shots. Dustin Johnson turned Pebble Beach's par 5 14th into a wedge approach. Bryson DeChambeau bulk trained himself into a power-hitting machine and proceeded to make course architects look like they were designing miniature golf layouts. By 2021, the average PGA Tour driving distance had increased from 256 yards in 1980 to 299 yards. That is a 43-yard average increase. On a course built for 256, that is a structural problem. Golf course architects estimated it would cost between $500,000 and $5 million per course to add enough yardage to keep their designs relevant at current ball distances. That is the architect problem. And it was the architect problem, not your weekend round, that triggered this entire regulation. The USGA did not build the rollback for you. They built it to protect a real estate investment. But here is the part nobody explained. If architects are the problem, why are amateurs paying the price? Read the USGA's own model local rule documentation carefully. In it, you will find something quietly buried in the implementation timeline. Tour professionals, including those on the PGA Tour, the DP World Tour, and in the major championships, are not required to adopt the reduced distance ball until 2028 at the earliest. Some implementation scenarios push full tour compliance to 2030. Let that land for a moment. The men and women who actually hit it too far, the players the USGA specifically cited as the reason the rollback was necessary, they get 7 more years of playing with the equipment they currently use. You do not. The recreational golfer, who averages 217 yards off the tee and has never once threatened the integrity of Augusta National's architecture, is being asked to transition first. And this is where the official narrative collapses. If this is the kind of story that the mainstream golf media would never run, hit subscribe. We audit the golf industry every week. The industry counts on the fact that most golfers never read the fine print. So if the tour pros are protected and the architects are protected, who exactly is left holding the bill? Here is the math they did not publish. Under the model local rule, the conforming ball must produce a minimum of 15 yards less distance than current premium ball standards. To achieve this without changing the internal feel and compression that players are used to, manufacturers need entirely new production lines. Titleist's parent company, Acushnet, stated publicly in their investor call that the transition to a rollback-compliant ball would require significant capital expenditure. They did not specify the number. Independent equipment analysts estimated between $200 million and $400 million across the major manufacturers combined. That investment does not disappear into the company's profit margin. It gets priced into the product. The current Pro V1 already retails for $54.99 per dozen. Equipment pricing analysts project the conforming replacement to launch between $64 and $72 per dozen, which is a 17 to 31% price increase for the same number of golf balls. A premium driver in 2004 cost approximately $300. The current TaylorMade Chi 35 costs $599. If the equipment cycle for rollback-compliant drivers follows the same pricing trajectory as the last 2 decades, the average amateur golfer will spend between $300 and $600 replacing their bag to full compliance. That is a forced upgrade cycle, paid for by you, mandated by a governing body. That did not ask you. And there is still one more layer nobody mentioned. The USGA's stated mission, written directly into their organizational charter, is to serve the best interests of the game for the continued enjoyment of those who love and play it. Those who love and play it. In 2023, the National Golf Foundation reported that 11% of recreational golfers were already playing less golf because of cost. Not because they lost interest, because they ran the numbers and the numbers did not work. Now add a mandatory equipment replacement cycle to a population already being priced out. The USGA designed a regulation to protect $5 million course renovation projects. The recreational golfer, the one their charter was written to protect, is being asked to fund it by replacing equipment that was perfectly legal last season. This is not a conspiracy. It is a priority list, and the amateur golfer is not at the top of it. Stay with me, because the next part is where it gets specific. We are going to break down exactly which equipment in your bag becomes non-conforming when it happens, and what the real-world replacement cost looks like for a mid-handicap player buying one full setup. The number is not small. Here is what this means for a standard mid-handicap player with a 4-year-old setup. Your golf balls will be non-conforming under the new rule within 12 to 18 months of full implementation. The replacement cost will be $64 to $72 per dozen. Your driver, if manufactured before 2025, will likely be non-conforming within 36 months. The replacement cost is $499 to $599. Your fairway woods follow the same timeline, costing $249 to $349 each. The USGA's own documentation states that existing non-conforming equipment can still be used in casual recreational rounds, just not in competitions or events that adopt the model local rule. Here is the hidden mechanism. The moment your local club, municipal tournament, or Saturday charity event adopts the model local rule, your current equipment becomes a disqualification risk, and local clubs adopt it to align with the national governing body. They always do. Drop your current driver model and year in the comments. We are building the public ledger of what this transition is actually going to cost average golfers. The USGA should have published this. They did not. We will. The USGA will tell you this rollback is about preserving the integrity of the game. They are not entirely wrong. They are just very selective about which part of the game and which players they are preserving it for. If this is making you angry, good. Subscribe. We run this audit every week. And every week, the industry counts on the fact that most golfers never read past the press release. If you found this useful, there is a video on your screen right now that follows the money even further into the private equity firms that now own the biggest equipment brands in the game. Watch it next. Next, we are going inside the death of the 9-hole round. Courses used to offer it. Then the algorithm told them how much money they were leaving on the table. Now you cannot find one. That story is next.